Overnight, we learned that 2 students were found dead inside of a residence hall at UW-Platteville. Those two students have been identified as 22-year-old Kelsey Martin of Beloit and 22-year-old Haley Helms of Baraboo.
The Chancellor's office says this was a targeted and isolated event between the 2 individuals. But this morning, we still don't know the connection between the 2 people who died.
Yeah, law enforcement and campus officials have offered up little details on what exactly happened yesterday.
So let's turn to WMTV's Brooklyn Andrews live from campus at Wilgus Hall. Brooklyn, that lack of information has frustrated some students there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just say students, I'd say the whole community here has a lot of question marks exactly what led up to yesterday, the 2 tragic deaths of those students in Wilgus Hall behind me here that we're standing in front of this morning. So we do want to let you know what we know so far. We're going to kind of walk you through a little timeline of how this played out yesterday. So let's go back to 4 p.m. when that initial 911 call came in from this residence hall here behind me. Shortly after that call came in, we do know that the UW PD chief said that they determined then it was an isolated incident, but they did put a shelter in place warning out to their community members. That shelter in place was lifted shortly after 5 o'clock. And then there was a waiting gap for just about 2 hours as a lot of students were gathered outside the hall wondering what was going on. There was red tape here around the dorm. We know at 7 p.m. they did hold a press conference where dozens of those students showed up, media, community members, to get those questions answered. And unfortunately, Tim, as you said earlier, very few of those questions were actually answered there. So it wasn't until 11 p.m. last night or shortly thereafter that community-wide email did go out from the Chancellor announcing the unfortunate passing of those 2 students. But again, what led up to that, what the connection was between those 2 girls is unknown right now. So we are working hard today to figure out and hear from authorities what they have to tell us. But until we learn more, we'll be out here in Platteville and we'll check in with you guys then. But for now, live in Platteville, Brooklyn Andrews, WMTV 15 News.
All right, Brooklyn, thank you. Students were not allowed to stay in Wilgus Hall last night and only allowed to grab a few items from their rooms before they had to leave for the night.
Yeah, you could see from Brooklyn there, it was quiet around that residence hall. Overnight, students were offered space in nearby residence halls. But let's take a look. We do have some footage of a map of where Wilgus Hall is on campus. We know about 230 students live in that residence hall, and from floor plans, we can tell each room holds 2 beds. We have some aerial footage our crews took from the scene as well. Wilgus is one of 10 residence halls on the UW-Platteville campus.